Welcome, strangers. Welcome back to the next chapter of the Milrace Adventures. Okay, so my first chapter actually got a pretty interesting comment on the flame pistols for PvP. And I was wondering if it was viable for PvE. Well, here's the answer. Sure, hickory dickory dock, why not? Um, it's it's awesome. The way I have it set up is pretty much completely the same. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go with show you the gear real quick. The gear I'm actually using is Power of Precision Ferocity. Pretty much the basic, or you can go with Assassins, whichever you prefer. Sigils, I'm actually using a 5% damage modifier as well as the Superior Sigil of Friday, and essentially everything else has all power precision heals. I don't have any fusion slots. I don't care. I really don't do fractals. I really don't. Sometimes I don't know why. Um, with that being said, the only difference is modified ammunition instead of taking up napalm specialist. Um, with group mechanics, you really don't need napalm specialist just because you're always going to be applying fire, burning source as well as a guardian or elementalist or whoever else has application to burning. Now, with that also being said, is that with modified ammunition, is going to increase your DPS around, depending on how many kitchens are, probably 10%. So by 20%, yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. 20% increase. You can't go wrong with that, especially with group fights and especially world bosses. This is actually probably the best way to go. If you want to go solo, you can do that too. Uh, yeah, you can definitely go with that. With H in sorry, Grandmaster and Alchemy, you can do that. Especially mostly the utility skills are going to be 3 out of 5. You're going to be elixirs. I don't use elixir H just for the sake is that it does have a random chance. It does give you swiftness or it gives you regen or protection, and it gives you a nice chunk of healing. But the thing is, I like healing turret because it's a great mechanic to for group fights as well as even for solo to remove 2 conditions instead of specking into formula '09. On top of it, it does have a chance to even give you a bigger burst, but on top, you have that F1 skill that's going to provide some great counterfield water for anyone else who's doing blast detonators, or if you want to be using a pistol and shield, you can use the F4 number 4 skill with combination of the F1 skill and get an additional healing field. Just saying. Um, with that also being said, it's quite really fun. Just remember that orientate yourself correctly, use the correct elixirs. You're going to be using elixir B as well as toxic elixir B quite often just because of the might, the fury, or a chance of swiftness or retaliation on toxic elixir B. But that's also the stability you're getting. But with elixir, just using elixir B, you're going to get fury, might, retaliation, swiftness, adding increased durations, but also you'll able to keep clipping over elixir B, smite continuously. Now, if you're using H&H, you're going to get 3 stacks of might and an additional stack on your toss elixir B. Having a chance of getting it. So yeah, you can't really go wrong with that. It's actually pretty good. On top of it, I use elixir R. That's another condition removed is going to be immobilization. Top of it, that's endurance regained by 100%, 100 all the way, especially if you're out of endurance. And then on top of it, you also have your Toxic Elixir R, which is great for mechanics, for group fights, especially if people and you're like stuck in a zone in the corner of the room and you can't get to your teammates, but you can toss that Elixir R and it'll help them revive a lot faster. And if someone can actually get in there and help out, heal them up, and get them off up the ground, so be it. It's work, and it's also common field light, so that will also be great to, believe to affect retaliation. I believe. I might be wrong. Can't remember exactly what the blast thing is for light. Well, anyway, with that being said, unfortunately, you also I use Elixir S just because it's a great escape mechanic. But on top of it, it also provides Toss Elixir S as a stealth mechanic to help your teammates out in certain situations. If you're trying to res someone, you have aggro, X, Y, and Z. It works for you. Toxic Elixir U, that is pretty up to you. If you really want to get off more of fragmentation shot if you're doing solo. If you're doing group mechanics, it's okay, but remember you're gonna have a penalty of frenzy or haste regeneration, and that's why where it comes in with like R, it's great, but if you're gonna take a lot of damage, it's not really worth it, especially if it's against world bosses who are brand new or they're a pain in the ass. Now with Elixir's use, toss mechanic, you're gonna have a chance to either get smoke field or reflective field. Smoke field is great if you use blast finishers on it, you get more stealth, or you keep it with the reflective field to reflect all projectiles, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but it has a slim chance of either one. It's like a 50-50. It's either you get one or the other, and to even have Elixir U to actually be good without having any effects, it it it's sad. It really is, but that's what happens when you have quickness. But there's other ways around that. I actually don't use it as much, depending on what fight it is, and if I know the fight correctly enough to where I can actually have faith in Elixir U to do what I need to do, then I use it. But if not, I usually either use Elixir S or I use Elixir C, depending on what the mechanic is. If it deals out more conditions than anything else, then I'm actually going to use Elixir C just for the sake is that I might have a chance to have more stacking on might, so my condition will be a lot stronger as well as the regular auto damage. But on top of it, it will help out your teammates to remove uh, remove conditions to boons by 2, but a number of 5 targets. So it's really good. That really is good, especially with the duration you'll be getting for it. Now on top of it, just keep your supply crate. That's pretty much it, really. The supply crate is pretty much the same thing. It gives you an extra burning source if you're doing solo, or if you're in group mechanics, or you're with your best friend next to you who dies, and you just throw this on the enemy's head. They'll be stunned, and you can proceed on doing your playstyle. Now, just remember, just keep using Elixir B as quietly as often, dodge a lot, that's why you get that 5% damage modifier. But on top of it, if you really do need extra dodge, Elixir R will come in handy. If you're going to go with the HDA style build, then you pretty much will probably be using Elixir B as well as Toss Elixir B a lot, and using Elixir R as well as the rest of the elixirs quite finely. The only reason why I didn't want to use Elixir H is that you'll be pretty much spend most of your time chugging elixirs than attacking and dealing damage, etc. And that's no fun. That's no fun. Seriously. Unless if you want to use Elixir H, go ahead. Just make sure you substitute something else out so you don't have to be chugging so much elixir. Like I know people say, well, it's easy. Well, some people don't have 12 buttons on their mouse where they can just click everything simultaneously, or have a third arm where they can just keep pressing number buttons on their keyboard. Unfortunately, some people cannot do that. I can. So sadly, I am sorry for that. All right, peeps. Just keep in mind that your arc really squishy, so keep Elixir R going. See teammates down, use your Tulsa Elixir R to help everyone else out, as well as the Revive Pulse. And it does remove one condition. If you do put for a cleansing formula and you don't want the increase, you can do that, and it'll give it two conditions instead of just one. Alright, peeps, and that's pretty much it. It is pretty viable. Just remember the situations and go for it. And that's pretty much it, guys. Alright, you guys stay awesome. I'll see you guys in the next chapter.